you have burning a door, where you see
Locate. There you are,
light,
Gail. I'm going to ask you to unmute yourself. There you
light
go. You can go ahead and unmute yourself now, Gail.
I did.
folding.
Thank you.
As you can see, we have a whole bunch of folks here. Thank you, everybody, for being here. Thank you for being patient with the technological stuff in this new era that we're in. This is life. I hope everyone is well and healthy and safe. And I think together collectively, we are all hopeful that we'll be out of this moment very soon. That being said, I will turn over the facilitation of the event to Fred Johnson. Fred?
Thank you so much, Roberto. Welcome, everyone. It is such an honor to be here with you today, to be your tour guide on this wonderful journey of the book launch of Miss Gail Langstroth's Firegarden. So honored today to be a part of this. Also so honored to be here with poet extraordinaire, Miss Anne Marie McCary, and storyteller, poet, and essayist, and publisher extraordinaire, Roberto Carlos Garcia, as we really, really celebrate word and really, really celebrate this beautiful, beautiful book. As is the tradition often when I am blessed to gather with people. Let's just take the energy of coming together and the intention of our coming together. And I will begin with a bit of a word, if you will, invocation. May we in this perfect moment now breathe into this celebration. Breathe into this journey of word, this journey of more deeply knowing and feeling the beauty of poetry and poetry in motion. We are blessed in this perfect moment now for the gift of life to be here together, if but from a distance, as we take a journey to celebrate and awaken the world to Firegarden. Thank you all for being in this circle of pure creativity. Thankful for each one of you and for the opportunity to be on this journey together with Gail. Welcome, breathe in, for we breathe as one. Welcome. Welcome, everyone, as we come together to celebrate poetry, to celebrate the release of Firegarden, to take this wonderful journey with Miss Gail Langstroth, who I've had the honor of knowing and working with for many, many years. We are joined on this journey, and I will go into greater detail about that as we share in conversation with Anne Marie McCary. Anne Marie, thank you so very, very much for being here. And Roberto Carlos Garcia, thank you for making this possible, for creating this forum for us to really take this journey. So, she was born under the big sky of Montana. She is a trilingual poet. She is a lecturer, She is a translator. She is a eurythmist. She is magnificent in her understanding of communication. I've had the good fortune to sit early on when we first met and have the opportunity to really learn in a whole new way, being, one of word through song, one of word through writing plays, but to really understand the power of communication. And what Gail has brought to the world is this opportunity to not only hear word, but to watch word move. And so I invite you now to experience one of her poems from this great manuscript, After Church. Here's Gail.
Thank you for being here, everyone. This is my studio. This is where I practice every day. I would like to extend un willkommen a mis amigos, una bienvenida a los amigos en España, América del Sur und diejenigen, die aus Deutschland, die reinzoomen konnten. Da war ein bisschen Problem, aber bienvenidos, willkommen. This first poem is dedicated to a dear, dear friend of mine here in Pittsburgh, Brenda Tate. I met her one night, late, after an August Wilson play in the Hill District. And when I met this woman, I knew in my heart, I want to be her friend. And we have become friends. We rarely see each other. But Brenda, being the first female Black policewoman in the Hill District, and then later a private guard for many celebrities who landed and passed through Pittsburgh, she has experienced racism. And so she is one of my teachers in how to love, despite all the consequences, despite all the adversaries. After church, for Brenda Tate. You leave the room to change from church attire into, I need to walk the dog clothes. It was Cancer Awareness Sunday. Everyone wore a shade of pink. This gives me time to sit on your brown sofa, look at the album on the glass coffee table. You, a private guard for Rosa Parks, Michelle, Obama, Hillary, the Dalai Lama. Over lunch, a raw slant of sun strikes the placemat's plastic weave. You reach to lay your palm on my wrist. The linden burns, each leaf a ripe apple. Last week, a plummet of ice pellets. You reach to lay your palm on my wrist. A slow, invisible folds veneer and unspoken. Lord, bless this food. El tino quema. Cada hoja una manzana madura. La semana pasada una plomada de perdigones de hielo. Tú pones tu palma sobre mi muñeca. Un lento invisible pliega lo cercano, lo no hablado. Señor, bendice estos alimentos.
Lord, bless this food. Lord, bless this food. Oh, Lord, 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 bless this food, Lord, bless this food. Lord, bless this food. Thank you, Anne-Marie. So beautiful. It's my honor now, ladies and gentlemen, to bring into conversation with Gail Anne-Marie McCary. You know, she is world renowned as a poet, as an educator, as an inspirer. I know that she has greatly inspired Gail along her poetry journey. And I had the honor of meeting Anne-Marie at Drew University when I collaborated on a series of poems with Gail. And one of Anne-Marie's amazing poems, I Wore Night Like a Glove, was the piece that I was really honored to participate in. And you know, you can read about someone, you can read about their accolades and know that they inspire and move people. But when you are moved by their work, then you know that it is really, really real. And I was truly moved by that poem and honored to have been a part of that. And so now, Anne-Marie, welcome. And we look forward to this conversation between you and Gail.
Thank you so much, Fred. That is so generous and kind of you. And I love listening to you, even just speaking, but certainly when you are performing. I love your music. And I love how you and Gail work together. Gail, where are you?
Can't you see me?
Yes.
Okay.
So congratulations on your book. Beautiful in every way, including the cover. Everybody can see it. You know, there's the most obvious question to ask you has to do with you coming to poetry after having a lifetime in the world of the body. I don't know, is dance the wrong word to use for your
Yeah.
eurythmia?
But I'll allow you to use it.
Okay, oh, your rhythmy. Am I saying it wrong?
That's perfect.
Okay.
Absolutely. Yeah.
But what I want to ask is how poetry and language manifests in your body, and what is the connection between that physical outpouring of art that you do and the and language?
Well, I'll give the little introduction to what eurythmy is. It's a legitimate art form. And in this art form, we recognize that there are two movement sources that have formed the human being down into the physical bones and muscles and organs. There is the word, and I'm not talking necessarily about words that we're sharing right now, but you might say this logos force, idea, language. And then there's music. So that every human being carries in their physical body the results of these cosmic movement sources. So in eurythmy, we're recognizing, for example, the shape of the air when we speak. That when we're speaking, every sound makes a gesture in the air. And I then attempt to make those gestures visible, to come back to the picture of language, not through a mind gesture, but through the sounds of speech. So I'm basing my movements on the sounds of speech that are in me, in us. That the ah in its archetypal form is an opening. We open our mouth, we open our throat in order to say it. We shape the air like that. The b, the consonant like this. So taking it a step further into poetry, we all have these sounds locked up in us. And we're pretty sedentary people today with so much computer. So in the eurythmy, we're opening that movement and, as it were, reuniting ourselves with those cosmic forces, bridging from my microcosmic, my but, my ah, my quote, my tuck here, into the cosmos and reaching in to build a bridge. So you might say, as one is writing poetry, one is doing that life dance of those sounds, but of course it's not noticeable, but it's happening, whether we know it or not. Those sounds are moving in us through our life body. Just as when we're listening, we're actually shaping the sounds of the person who's speaking with our larynx. We are a being of movement. Movement is what we have come out of. It's what keeps us going. We are living human beings. So you might say the poetry thing is a very inside eurythmy dance.
Very, very connected. The two things really work beautifully together as you manifest all the time in your work in so many different ways. You're trilingual, and having lived in Europe for almost 40 years, how was it to come back to this country and to be immersed again in English, and then to have to find your poetic voice in this language that you really had been in exile from in a certain way for so long?
Well, you were the perfect witness of this. You know, I landed on these shores and my English wasn't very good. I didn't have syntax. I was thinking in German, I was thinking in Spanish. You know, I've been performing, I figured out the other day, in 13 languages around the world, not that I spoke them all. So I came back for poetry. I wanted to find out what this whole thing is about. I've been writing all my life, but you know, sending a poem to a friend and they love it, that's not getting the judgment and perhaps the correction you need. So I came back and started this journey at Drew, thanks to you and that crew of wonderful, wonderful poets. So it has not been easy. I miss Europe all the time. And as COVID started in the pandemic, it was amazing. I would sit here and do my work and do my practice, and I had this whole inner world of landscapes and plazas and cafes and people and meetings. So I was often more in other countries than I was here sitting at my desk. And then as this political situation, it just seemed that there was something in this country that were part of the reasons why I left so many years ago. You know, it was the Vietnam War, the death of my only brother, the drug scene. I didn't get it. So as a 16-year-old woman, I was an exchange student in Spain. And when that all started happening, I wanted out of here. I wanted out. But I've seen the importance now, Anne-Marie, with this pandemic and the shootings of these innocent Black people. I realize it's important that I have been here and am here right now, doing the thinking, the observing, the writing that I'm doing out of this, out of the actuality and the fierce presence of what's happening now in this country and of course around the world.
And has it felt like a coming home in some kind of way, or do you feel like a visitor here?
Coming home, I don't know. One of the benefits of this pandemic is that I was in my house for all these months, and I have lived in every square centimeter of it. And I really love my home. It is my home. It protects me. It's a place where I live and spend all my days, basically. Where can we go, you know? To the grocery store, and that's about it, you know? So,
I was thinking more of the culture itself. Did you feel it coming home when you left Europe and came back here? And was it important to you to be coming back to, you know, your original language, the place where you grew up, all of those things? Was there a sense of reconnecting, or do you feel, you know, half in one place, half in another?
well, I try to be where I am.
That's good.
I try that. You know, I came back for poetry, and I came back for language. And so there has been no mistake. And, you know, I came to Pittsburgh, I was already 63. And so I started a new life in a city where I knew nobody, basically. And that wasn't easy, but, and it took work, and it still takes work, because I realized that, you know, you form these connections. I have no living family anymore, but you form these connections, and they're sort of part of your network. And then when you start your life over at 63, it takes a bit of work. So I'm always moving, let's say, whether it's inside or outside. And I'm glad to be here now. I feel it's important that I'm here now. And I'm grateful for all my friends here in Pittsburgh. But I must say, the help has been when I've been Skyping, Zooming, doing classes in Spanish with South American eurythmists. I just sort of begin to bubble when I can speak Spanish. But I'm okay. And
I figured that. Actually, I witnessed that when you go into Spanish, that it feels very natural to you and embodied. So let's talk about one more question. We have time. Let's just talk briefly about the translations, because I think you said that you got some pushback from people. You're not supposed to translate your own poems, but I like that you did it. I think it adds something to the book, because it does speak of this dual part of yourself. And can you say something about translating the poems? And do you ever do it the other way? Do you ever write in Spanish and translate it into English?
Well, when I first came back here, I was, without knowing it, mixing languages now, and also speaking in mixed languages. I got rid of that in about 9 months. This has been a joy, because translation is not just rewording something, as you know, in another language. Rather, I felt by taking this on, and it all happened by surprise. I didn't start out saying, oh, my first book is going to be bilingual. Now, after the fact, I'm so grateful. I'm so grateful. I feel, and today, you know, I can open, I can close it and move on. But there were moments, you know, I started the translations myself, and then I would go to native speakers, of which there are about 10 around the world that I work with. But the final decision was always mine, because I was doing things that you don't do. And in the last 3 months of the book, I was panicked. And Roberto saw this and said, don't be a drama queen, Gail. But I realized I have to take this on as my responsibility. I am not a native speaker, but I'm doing things because of sound. I'm not translating linear because of the way it sits on the page. And so there were moments where I felt, Anne-Marie, that I was discovering the Spanish language in a simple way. You know, I'm translating the poem that won the Dobler Award, You Lay Your Arm Around Me. And I realized abrazar is to embrace, and that has the word brazo in it, arm. And you go, wow. So, you know, not looking it up on Google and not going somewhere, I experienced language. And it was like a joy. And so when I got that pushback from an editor, from a publisher, I thought, baby, you're not going to stop me from this joy. I mean, come on. This has been literally, and I will name some of the people who've helped me, has been so much fun, really fun.
That's great.
And of course, working with South American, Spaniards, the different provinces, their different words, and then you get into a whole world of possibilities. Then you ask yourself, well, you know, back to the arrhythmy, where is tree? You know, in German we say Baum. In English we say t, r, e. In Spanish we say árbol. So where's tree? In English, we perhaps indicate the trunk of the tree. In Baum in German, we indicate perhaps the crown of the tree, one aspect of the tree. In Spanish, we indicate perhaps the wind blowing through the leaves of the tree. So where's tree? Each language gives us a different aspect of that idea of tree. I mean, it's a world of joy, no?
Yes. And of course, in Europe, people can automatically go between languages much more easily than we can. So it, you know, here we're much more rigid about it and, you know, focused on English so heavily. And most of us don't have much facility in other languages. So to bring that to what you're writing is really wonderful. All that sense of knowledge and carrying other cultures with you. Well, thank you.
Well, thank you.
Are you going to share another poem now?
I'm going to share two poems.
Okay.
In both Spanish and English for our Spanish friends. I'm 71 years old now. And all of my life, I've had a question. What's the relationship between flesh and spirit? Flesh, Geist, cuerpo, espíritu. ¿Hay una relación? For example, if I'm hungry, is that a matter of body, flesh, or is that a matter of spirit, or both? So what's the relationship? Fleisch, Geist. I was able to be present the moment my mother died. It was noon, a Friday, St. Anthony's Hospital, St. Petersburg, Florida. Gloria, the nurse, and I were the only two people present in the room. As my mother drew her last breath, Gloria reached to the corner of my mother's right eye. Look, Gail, a tear. How was it that Gloria could have known my mother was rarely able to cry in her lifetime? The ancient marble harpist sits. Hugs her unstrung. I think this is the way with the dead. We clutch the empty. They pluck our unstrung. El arpista cicládico se sienta. Abraza su arpa sin cuerdas. Siento que así pasa con los difuntos. Nosotros ceñimos el vacío. Ellos pulsan nuestra arpa sin cuerdas. Tres etapas de la iniciación. Tres etapas de la iniciación. Sé una cabra grande. Una pluma de helecho. Una manzana podrida que rueda. Piérdate. Olvida estar perdido para siempre. El diablo aparece. El rastrojo de su barba rasca, arranca cada pelo de hierro, transforma las cerdas de acero en hilos claros del aire, para que el arpa sea encordada, luego tocada por aquel que espera sin nombre, sin hogar. 3 stages of initiation. Become a big goat. A fern feather. A bruised apple rolling. Become lost and forget being lost forever. The devil appears. His beard stubble scratches. Pluck each iron hair, transform wired straps into clear threads of air. So the harp may be strung, then played. The one who waits, nameless, homeless.
Thank you so very much, Gail. Thank you so much. It's amazing to both hear, see, and feel the power of your poems. Would love to have a conversation now with Roberto Carlos Garcia, who, thank you again, Roberto, for really being the catalyst, not only for this Zoom call and bringing us together to have the opportunity to share in this book launch, as well as a great few minutes of artistic expression. And you are the founder of the Cooperative Press Get Fresh Books Publishing Company, who is publishing this manuscript. I would love to hear from you about your, what moved you to participate and be the publisher for Firegarden.
Thank you very much, Fred. Can everyone see me? Just want to
Yep.
make. Okay, great. This has a very long answer, and I'll try to keep it concise. One of the questions that arose between myself and several of my members of my poetry family was, as poets, as artists, what is our obsession, in a sense? What is one thing that we can all point to that we explore in our work? And the phrase the body came up, and it came up as we considered our work, maybe I would say as the offspring, or as the natural just outgrowth of the mentorship of Anne-Marie Macari. And when we think about the embodied poetry that Anne-Marie Macari writes, and the freedom which she gave us through the program she founded to explore that in our own way, after watching Gail perform for the first time and learning about eurythmy, and then having the pleasure of watching Gail perform set to your vocals and your drumming, I was just fascinated by eurythmy, fascinated by what it means and what the possibilities are. And why haven't I ever heard of this, right? Which is one of the things about art that it's fascinating, beautiful, and frustrating at the same time, is that we could go through our lives really and not come across so much. And so in getting to know Gail and in all the wonderful conversations we've had just as writers, right? Just as writer friends, trying to express ourselves. Gail's trajectory as an artist fascinates me in that she has spent the greater part of her life expressing so much physically with that beautiful movement. And then to kind of say, okay, now I need to figure out a way to put this on the page, right? What a wonderful process for an artist to go through. And I just feel very blessed to have been able to be the publisher that gives voice to that expression, right? To that challenge, because my goal as a publisher is to bring to the world what they are not getting, right? For whatever reason. And I think that these poems, one, they are a kind of verbal or print expression of a physical artist, but then also they are an exploration of language as it relates to the human condition, and Gail's particular iteration of that. And Gail and I have so many poets in common that we love. Juan Ramon Jimenez, Lucio Clifton, Cesar Vallejo, St. John of the Cross, and we've had conversations about Dark Night of the Soul, and so yeah, how could I not publish it? I guess really is what it comes down to. So yeah, a long answer, but hopefully it conveys some aspect of the reasons why I wanted to do that.
Absolutely, it does. And I can attest to that. I mean, the first time that I actually sat down with Gail and had a conversation with her, and she shared with me with the great passion that she has for life and for word and for eurythmy, as someone who has been singing for my entire life and considered myself someone who was a great communicator, in that moment, I realized there was so much that I didn't know.
Mm,
And so for me, like, understanding and being awakened to eurythmy by someone who is so deeply, I mean, it is who she is.
yeah.
And also I was able to also hear that deep conversation about word, I mean, and the journey of her desire, will, and expertise and understand, because she feels the word from the inside out. It's like, to feel it and then to put it into shape and form. I realized is like so much happens when we speak, you know.
Yes.
um, and so, yes, what a magnificent journey. Yeah, I concur. And I think this is the beautiful thing. The other thing that was really, really great in terms of my experience with her is that it awakened me to slowing down and pronouncing word in a totally different way, because it's not just something that goes into the air. Each word has substance, you know, it has body. So yeah, so kudos to you, brother, for really supporting this book. I mean,
Thank you.
I, you know, my prayer is that it's a magnificent journey for her and will awaken so many people, as well as a magnificent journey for your publishing company. Um, I'd love to just hear a little bit about mixtape. I'm just, you know, I'm just excited about mixtape, because that, I believe, it feels to me when I read about it that mixtape has the same essence that Firegarden has.
Thank you, Fred. So mixtape is a form that I developed just quite by accident for my recent poetry collection. I have a standing rule, and I love Gail, I love you, Fred, for even mentioning the mixtape, but I have a standing rule that when I'm a publisher, it's all about my poets. And what I would like to do at this time, if I may, is just read 2 poems by Gail from the book that
Yeah.
I really, really enjoy. Um, Part of my hope also is when people look up eurythmy, there's some books out there, some classic, you know, maybe books by Poplawski and Steiner. One of my hopes is that Langstroth will come up and we'll get some
Mhm.
poetry tied to that as
Yeah,
well.
yeah.
So I'd like to read this poem by Gail. It's called "I Pay Extra for Hours When No One I Know Knows Where I Am." I draw the hotel curtains apart. The illuminated cathedral spires shine into the room. I paid an extra 10 euros for the view. Air becomes fire, the walls wind, the noon Castilian sky, and I burn blue in high-pitched yellow shade. The cathedral tattoos its spire shadow into my right ring finger, a flower face that follows the sun. I move my petaled tongue, I lick, I watch, I name each inch of it.
Mm,
Wow.
mm.
Congratulations, Gail. Again, you know, the honor and the pleasure are definitely mine.
And so as our journey together, my friends, comes to an end now, in hoping that from this, each and every one of you will go out and buy 5 Firegarden books, uh, read them and share them with those who you love and those whom you want to love poetry more deeply. We will finish our presentation today with the title poem from this great manuscript, Firegarden.
Firegarden, Jardín de Fuego.
Oh, you have burning a door where you see light fold in. You have ash. Feel what ash means. Its weight and soot body broken. Place yourself there. Place yourself there. Place yourself there until burning turns to blue. for your fire garden.
Ardes es un portal donde ves doblar la luz. Quien es ceniza siente lo que ceniza significa, su peso y hoy un cuerpo roto. Pon tu ser ahí. Hasta que ardiendo se torne en flor para tu jardín de fuego.
Thank you, Gail Langstroth, for the gift that you are to the world. Thank you for Firegarden. Thank you for your wisdom and your love of the art, and for teaching us how to see, hear, and feel word. Thank you, Anne-Marie, for your inspiration and support of Gail's journey of poetry. Thank you for founding that program. Thank you, Roberto, for your vision and your support of Firegarden and all of the poets that you support. And thank each and every one of you who joined us today on this great premiere of this great piece of magic, Firegarden. To all of you, be safe, stay well, stay strong, and remember and feel the power of word. I'm Fred Johnson, and I thank you so much for allowing me to be a part of this. Blessings to you all.
Please feel free to, thank you so much, Fred, and thank you, Gail and Anne-Marie, and everyone for being here. Please feel free to unmute yourselves and give Gail a round of applause. And make as much noise as you can.
Yay, Gail. Mazel tov.
No, it can be a little frustrating to be muted in that way, so I always want to give folks the opportunity to make some noise. Thank you, everyone, for being here. What a wonderful event, Gail. Again, a true artist. She choreographed the whole event, and thank you for understanding about the technical difficulties at first. Thankfully, we all managed to get on. Have a wonderful rest of your Sunday, everyone. Be safe and happy holidays.
Antonio, hola.
Hola, thank you.
Judith. Hey, Sofía, mi querida, qué linda. Julia, my God, that is Sheila, Ellen, did you hear my words, baby?
Absolutely, baby. Thank you.
Darla, thank you. Did you get my letter, Darla?
I did. It's beautiful. Thank you so much. I love the star.
Okay, Lisa, Diane, Lisa,
Hi.
¿Quién está? Anne.
You have
Elisa from the
burning
Joku,
a door where you see light folding. You have ash. Feel what ash means. Its weight and soot body broken. Place yourself there. Place yourself there. Place yourself there until burning turns to blooming for